Ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
Good evening. It's 5 o'clock. I'd like to go ahead and call this public hearing to order. Will you please rise for Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming tonight. Recognition of media. I don't believe we have any media signed in tonight. So that leaves us to 2.2, which is overview of the school board actions. The board will now hold a lease hearing in connection with the proposed bond project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet at the center console, which should include your name and contact information. After the presentation, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the lease rental to be paid under the lease. At this specific hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the lease rental and the proposed projects under consideration. The notices for this hearing were published as legally required pursuant to Indiana Code 20-47-3. Before a school corporation may enter into a lease with a nonprofit building corporation, the school corporation must conduct a hearing regarding the execution of the proposed lease agreement and whether the rental to be paid to the leaseor building corporation under the proposed lease is a fair and reasonable rental for the proposed improvements. We will now hear from Whitko's business manager, Lynn Leninger, about the proposed projects related to the lease.
We had mentioned this at a work session last month regarding our needs for roof work down at South Whitley Elementary School and the Whitko High School. Back in June of 2023, we were given authorization for financing of $6,105,000. So it's already been authorized to use. Of that amount in 2024, we used our GO bond for $2,500,000 down at the high school to finish out that project. That leaves remaining authorization of $3,605,000 for the roofs. We had inspections done at the roofs at South Whitley Elementary School and the high school, and there was identified several roof sections. If you have any idea on the roofs, there's built different times, different qualities, but they proposed that there were several roof sections that needed to have attention to in the next year or two. South Whitley had $1.5 million of needed repairs and updates, and the high school was a little over $2 million on various roof sections. And we've also included within this lease rental the need for a truck with a snowplow. Obviously, with all the areas we have to clean is our snow removal, since we do our own removal. The truck we have now is basically rusted through, one of the trucks. So we're including that in this proposal. And like I said, the total authorization left over from the initial approval is $3,605,000. And this will fall right within that total.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in on the sheet. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name and address, limit your comments to the proposed rent to be paid under the lease, keep any comments to 3 minutes, and avoid being repetitive if possible. Do we have anyone signed in? No? Okay. Would anyone else like to speak? If so, please state your name and come on down to the mic. Okay, well, thank you to everyone who participated in the hearing. We'll now close the hearing. Our regular meeting will start at 5:30. May I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Move we adjourn the public hearing.
I second it.
It has been properly moved in second. We'll now take a vote. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. Yeah, according to this, we do. I think it's 5:30. I'd like to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We all rise for saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming tonight. This is a meeting of the school board for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. Public comments are limited to items on the agenda. There will be a time for public participation as indicated by agenda item number 5. The board receives agenda item information and rationale for administrative recommendations for their thorough review before each meeting. 2.0 is opening remarks. I don't have any media signed in, so I don't believe we have any media tonight to recognize. That leaves us to 2.2, which is our Students of the Month. Our first student of the month is William Egoff from the Whitko Junior Senior High School, nominated by J.D. Maurer.
Thank you. I am very honored to be here today with William E. Golf. So I got to brag on this young man just a little bit. First, we're going to talk about grades. Exemplary marks, A, preparing for college and careers. Exemplary marks in ag. Wonderful marks in social studies and science. William is an all-around great student. His attendance is on par. He's only missed 1 or 2 days of school this year already. I look down on that attendance and I see IA in attendance everywhere. He's on time for every single one of his classes. Even though we're asking kids to carry book bags to class and throwing a lot at them in that new junior high school wing, he still manages to make it on time. He was also caught being good. If you see that little orange tag right there, it's something that I'll talk a little bit more about later today. But he was helping his teacher without being asked prepare for iReady and math, and that just speaks a little bit to his character and the kind of young man that he is. And I just want to brag on him a little bit, and I want him to share with you all what he thinks about the start of his year and maybe a little bit about some teachers.
Well, I think that the beginning of the year has been really good for me, and for my favorite subject is probably English, and my favorite teacher, Miss Sterling, and my math teacher, Miss Oosley. She's really nice to me, and Mr. Hines, my social studies teacher. He can be funny and serious at all the same times.
All right, thank you, William. I appreciate it. Nice job. Keep up the good work.
Congratulations. I believe you're the first student I've heard speak at this, and I commend you for that. Nice job. Next, we have Julia Elder from the Whitko Career Academy, nominated by Amy Nicodemus.
Mrs. Nicodemus couldn't be here this evening. Julia is off to a great start this school year. She arrives at class each day with a positive attitude, ready and eager to deepen her knowledge in all things healthcare. Her enthusiasm and drive to learn are truly contagious and uplifting to those around her. She has shown great dedication to mastering medical terminology, and her hard work has not gone unnoticed. Julia recently scored a perfect score, 100% on her first quiz, a clear reflection of her commitment and focus. Beyond her academic success, she's also been a supportive team player, taking initiative to help her classmates navigate the challenges of enrolling in their dual credit courses. Julia is clearly serious about pursuing a career in healthcare, and her outstanding efforts show she's on path towards a very bright future. She wants her to keep up the amazing work. Thank you.
Congratulations. Next, from South Whitley Elementary School, we have Thaddeus Neal, nominated by Abigail Stewart.
I would like to congratulate Thaddeus Neal for Student of the Month at South Whitley Elementary. Thaddeus is a caring and hardworking student. He's always determined to do his best in all things, even when things get tough. He treats both students and adults with respect and kindness, and Thaddeus is always willing to offer help to those around him in any way he can. He is a joy to have in my class, and I'm excited to watch him grow throughout this school year.
Congratulations. Next, from Pearston Elementary School, we have Oliver Bingley, nominated by Trenton Osborne.
All right, I got pretty lucky, and this is my second time having Oliver in class. I had him in first grade as well. So when they asked me for a third grade nominee, I was very excited. He was the first person that came to mind. So I'm going to read what I wrote about him because I think it just encaptures the student that he is in my classroom. So I said, I am nominating Oliver for Student of the Month because he consistently shows kindness, responsibility, and a strong dedication to learning. He comes to school each day ready to do his best, and he encourages everyone around him to do the same. Oliver is respectful to his teachers and classmates, and he goes out of his way to help others without being asked. He shows perseverance when faced with challenges, always working hard until he understands the lesson. Beyond academics, Oliver is a leader in our classroom community. He models positive behavior, treats everyone with fairness, and creates a welcoming environment for his peers. I am proud to recognize Oliver for the positive impact he has on our class and school. I truly believe that he exemplifies what it means to be a Pearson Cub and a Whitko Wildcat.
Congratulations. That concludes our Students of the Month. Parents, if you would like to leave now, you can, or you're more than welcome to stay for the duration of the meeting, but you're free to go now. Next, we have a special presentation by Dr. Jamie Carroll.
See which way I can look here. Okay. Hi, good evening. I am here to speak to you a little bit about the data dive that I did since I've been on board. So the state test results are in, and they were embargoed up until August. Now we have final results, and I'm going to share some of those with you. I hope you had a chance to look over it prior to being here, but if not, we're going to dig in here just a little bit. Okay, so this first slide I want to share with you, this is about attendance rate for Whitko, and I want to read a little something so you understand what these numbers actually mean. So our district's overall attendance rate is 94% for the 2024-2025 school year. That's that top line there in the chart. To reach this calculation, each individual student must have been present at least 94% of the instructional days, which is approximately 170 out of the 180-day school year. In other words, a student could miss only a small number of days in order to still be counted as meeting attendance expectations. So if you go from the bottom to the top, in the spring of 2023, the attendance rate for Whitko was 96%, the state average was 95%. And then if you move your way up in 2024, 94% for Whitko, 93% for the state, and then up to last year, we were at 94% and the state was at 93%. I turned those numbers green because we were either at or above the state average. So as I continue to go through the slides, if you see green numbers, that means we are either at or above the state average in whatever data I'm presenting, just to give you an idea. So this next slide talks a little bit about iRead 3. And what I want to share about iRead 3 is the data that is presented here includes our spring scores and our summer scores combined. Because the third graders in this chart have had at least 4 opportunities to take that test. And the second graders on the next slide have had at least 2 opportunities to take that test. So if you start at the bottom once again, in 2023, Whitko had 81% passing the iRead 3 test in 3rd grade. The state was at 82%, so we were really, really close. In 2024, we were at 79%, and the state had jumped ahead to 83%. But this past school year, Whitko was at 87% collectively from both elementaries, and the state was at 87%. So we had quite a jump from 24 to 25 with strategies and interventions that teachers were putting into place. That was also with the ARC, the American Reading Company, reading curriculum that was in place during that year. So I just wanted to kind of show you what 3rd grade data looks like. Something I really want to celebrate is this next slide, because these are your current third graders now. They were in second grade last year. This is their spring and summer score combined. If you go back 2 years, look at 2024. The second graders in that year were 34%, and the state was 43%. But your current third grade students right now, our current third graders sitting in seats right now, in second grade last year, there were 68% of them that already passed in second grade. So we're starting third grade at 68% already, which is really, really promising. And the state was at 59%. So we're really, really excited with the new initiatives we have in place, because the students who struggled on that in second grade have those phonological awareness and those phonics holes, and we are implementing curriculum to try to fill those gaps. So we're really excited about that. The next slide might take a little bit to sit and digest. That's why I'm hoping you had a little bit of time. Remember, the scores that are highlighted in green are the scores where we are at or above the state level, okay? So when you look at the very first column going down, it shows the state average, it shows Whitko's average, and then it shows you each grade level's average, okay? So this is showing you third grade through eighth grade. And these scores are just from last year. Okay, I didn't go back previous years. I just wanted to show you last year's scores. So if you look at the next column over, like that pale orange column, the state had 53% pass rate of English language arts. Whitko was 34%. And then you can take a minute and look at how each grade level breaks down underneath that. And then if you jump over to math, the state was at 42%, and we were much closer in math. Whitko, we were at 39%. And then you can see right there, our third grade and fourth grade last year were both above the state average. So that helped our average come up as a district. But then I'll give you a minute to just look down the math column for the rest of the grade levels to see where we fall. And then the purple column, that combines both English language arts and math together for a combined score of where we fall from the state, and then where we fall as Whitko. And then it breaks it down by grade level. And then the last two columns for you to kind of take a peek at, fourth and sixth grade take the I Learn Science test. Just those are the only two grade levels that take it. The last column that's blue, fifth grade takes social studies. So I just wanted to give you an idea of where our scores were falling in comparison to the state for Whitko. So while we only see two green areas here, that doesn't mean we're not doing anything to remedy this. So the next slide I want to share with you really quickly, just 4 real simple bullet points of what we're doing right now. We're taking this data that I just shared with you and we're putting it into action. Okay, so the very first one is we have built out curriculum maps, English language arts and math. They've been created and aligned to iLearn checkpoints, and that's for grades 3 through 8. But we have also built out curriculum maps in kindergarten through second grade. And what we have done is we have worked on them per 9 weeks for those grade levels, for K through 2. We are aligning grades 3 through 8 with the iLearn checkpoints, because we are getting ready to take that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but we are getting ready to take our first round of iLearn checkpoints here very soon. The second bullet point that we are implementing is the focus on science of reading. So we are focusing on the 5 pillars of reading, but our intense, and when I say intense, it's pretty intense, our intense focus is on phonological awareness and phonics. We are implementing Heggerty for phonological awareness in grades K through 2 every day. It is an 8 to 10 minute routine that is happening in every classroom. In grades 3 through 5, they are using their data points collected, and they are using it for interventions. So any student that is showing a hole or a gap on our assessment pieces, they are intervening with Heggerty or UFly because it's research-based. So we are trying to fill those holes. The third talking point here is we are getting ready to take checkpoints. We will take them 3 times this year. The first one is coming up in October for us here at Whitko. And the results from the checkpoints will determine our interventions as we move forward, and it's all based on state standards. But remember, we've aligned our curriculum maps to the checkpoints, so The students will be taking the checkpoints based on what their instruction has been up to that checkpoint based on their curriculum maps. So everything is now being aligned. So they're not taking a checkpoint on something they've never had instruction on, which has happened in the past. So those maps have really helped align that. And then data will be used to drive that remediation. And the last checkpoint here is, and everyone knows, we've adopted Ready Math curriculum. And I took the liberty before I came to align that already for teachers so we could focus on English language arts. So the math curriculum maps are also aligned with the checkpoints with the Ready Math new curriculum. So all of that work is now, the data that you see is now driving all of these action points to happen. So another piece of state data that I want to share with you, which is really, really exciting, was the iLearn Biology ECA. So in 2024, Whitko was at 43% and the state was 44%. So we were right in line with the state, neck and neck. But last year, some phenomenal things happened. Whitko was at 73% and the state was at 46%. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted all of the state data pieces from iLearn for you guys. So these are our SAT results, and I want to share that these are 11th and 12th graders that take the SAT no matter what pathway they're on, whether they're going down the college pathway for education or they're going down the employment pathway or the enlistment pathway. They were all taking it. So their motivation at the end of graduation might have been different for all of them, but they all were asked to take it, and so these are the results. So you can look at the bottom scores. Whitko is in yellow in 2024. So Whitko was 45% and the state average was 51% for English language arts. In math, Whitko was at 20% and the state was 24%. And then both combined 16% for Whitko and the state was 24%. So I want to jump up to last year's results, which are 2025. They're the two scores at the top. In 2025, the state was at 55% for English language arts and Whitko was at 40%. So we dropped a little bit as a collective group at Whitko. And then I want to really hone in here to this math score. The state was at 25% and Whitko was at 7%. So we dropped drastically. But remember, I want to share with you that no matter what pathway those students were on, they were taking this. So even if they didn't need an SAT score for enlistment or employment, they still were taking it. So we can also consider effort as a part of that score as well. But not only are these our results, but again, we're going to take that data and put it into action. So I have worked with Mrs. Longabaugh and Mr. Maurer and the instructional coach at the junior senior high, and we've implemented some things. So we are using Magma Math right now. It is a student engagement tool, which is phenomenal. It presents information to a student where every student has to solve problems, and the teacher can watch it in live action. They can go and correct it. Instead of it being on a piece of paper, it's on a screen. They can use student examples on the screen to show how it's okay. We all are trying to get the same answer, but we might come to that answer in a different way, the way we solve it. So we have implemented Magma Math in grades 8 through 12 right now. We have targeted practice options in Magma Math. So there is SAT practice in Magma Math. There is PSAT. There is geometry. There is algebra. So those teachers are downloading specific books from this program to give students actual problems that they will see on the test. So another action item here we have with the PSAT data this year, grades 10th and 11th will be taking it on October 23rd. And we are going to use the data from the PSAT to find gaps and help prepare students when they take that SAT in the spring. So we are going to use that PSAT data. Students are also, something that's going to be very different is when they test for SAT, I've worked with Mrs. Longabaugh on this, in the past I have learned that they were randomly assigned a teacher for their SAT administration. And we all know how powerful relationships are. So we are going to have them actually test with their first period teacher this year. They already have relationships built with that first period teacher, so that first period teacher will be administering the SAT. We think that will be a powerful piece. And then another thing is, she mentioned that they will be providing two snacks during SAT breaks. So we're also going to be giving them some mojo, right, during that. So these are just some basic things that we are doing on a daily basis, and then when it comes time, we're going to be changing the environment a little bit for that testing period for them. So the very last thing here I want to share with you is our graduation rate. I do want to mention that the numbers should be finalized by the state by October 1st. So the end of September, we will know exactly, and then they'll be published on October 1st. But I did put in here that our graduation rate in 2023 at Whitko was 88%. The state was 89%. We were very close. In 2024, we were 87%. The state was 90%. But this year, right now, and when we look on our data dashboard for the state, Whitko is estimated at 93%, and the state is also estimated at 93% graduation rate. So that's why it's in green, but it's highlighted because it's still technically not released. It's just estimated. So those are just a few data points. Do you have any questions or comments about any of this that I could either answer or look into for you?
No, but I certainly do commend you for getting all of this done this quickly in the year.
You're welcome.
That we're ready to go for the whole year.
Yeah.
I like it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll keep you updated.
How long have you been here, just so the public knows?
I have been
When'd
here
you
since,
start?
yes, thank you. I've been here since July 1st.
Okay, thank you
This
for,
summer.
thank you for digging in, and
You're welcome.
now you see why we have you here and what you need to do, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I appreciate seeing the plan, so thank you.
of course. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Next, we have principal reports, and first on the list is Liz Riggers. So no mercy for you, I guess you get no examples. You're first up, and
Well, hello. So I am thrilled to be able to brag about some of the things that are happening at Pearston. First and foremost, I walked in and just the amazing things that are happening from teachers picking up different pieces. Miss Dana Justice, our fourth grade teacher, really stepped in for PTO and leading our PTO. We had a September meeting where we had 16 participants. In the past, we have had 6. So Miss Dana Justice has really just picked that up and got that going. So we are trying to build off of that momentum. We have a literacy night on October 2nd that you are all formally invited to. We would love to have you. More information will come your way. But Miss Mary Helen Gensch is our title teacher. She's done a phenomenal job of putting together a huge, wonderful night focused around literacy. She'll take some time to talk about what title is, what they do in our building, and then just fun activities that families can participate in as well. We also have our professional learning teams up and running, so you'll hear us talk about PLTs. That's what those are. So we are focusing on utilizing data to drive our instruction and our interventions. We meet weekly, kind of building off what Dr. Carroll is doing, making sure all of our decisions moving forward are data-driven. And lastly, you'll hear me say, or you'll see in every one of my emails, it's a great day to be a Cub. We are just building that mindset that every day is a great day to be a Cub. So I am just so grateful for the opportunity once again. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
I want to thank you for being Ben Franklin during the Constitution Day.
Absolutely.
That was great to see you on Facebook and with the smile and the kids all liking what you were doing. Thank you.
Yes, we had a blast. We read a book in 4th and 5th grade and talked a little bit about what the Constitution is and what it means for us. So it was a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Next, from South Whitley Elementary, we have Joel Halsapple.
Her picture of Benjamin Franklin, we were texting about something that was going on, and she responded to me with Benjamin Franklin, and I wasn't sure what that had to do with it until she sent a picture of her dressed up. Then I remembered that she was dressing up like that for the whole day. So we're excited to share that our grade level teams are using some of the data that Dr. Carroll talked about For our skills groups and interventions groups, we're working with our special ed and our Title I teachers really to provide instruction for our students where they're at, and that's going to be starting next week. The week of October 6th is parent-teacher conferences, and we will be meeting with parents with an emphasis on sharing what students are doing well. I really want our staff to do that, talk about what our students are doing well and what we see them doing well, while also sharing areas for growth and things that our students need to improve on. We are working hard to recognize positive behaviors that students are exhibiting in school, and this helps us create a culture where learning is optimized. We want to show, we spend too much time talking with students who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, but we have so many of our students, over 95% of our students doing what they are supposed to be doing, so we want to be recognizing that. And Ms. Riggers reminded me that we have a literacy night too, sponsored by our Title I, and it's called Read Your Way to Victory, and that is October 3rd when we're going to be doing that. So, any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chris Benedict from the Career Academy.
Good evening. Career Academy recently held our CTSO Recruitment Day for students on September 5th. The students got an opportunity to hear for presentations from our 8 different career and technical student organizations: FFA, CWA, HOSA, Skills USA, Educator Rising, TSA, BPA, and FCCLA. So students got an opportunity to hear all of those presentations and kind of find hopefully a fit that they can be a part of and an organization they can be a part of. So we're excited about that. 2 programs we want to talk about tonight: construction trades. They have partnered with Indiana Kentucky Regional Council for Carpenters of Joint Apprenticeship Program. That program aligns with the IDOE and NLPS curriculum. Students that complete that program and meet certain criteria will be able to go right into their Level 1 apprenticeship program. There will be direct entry right into that program. The other major news for our construction trades is our major project this year is the construction of a tiny home that will be auctioned off in the spring. So we're looking forward to that opportunity as well for our students. Our education profession students are kind of settling into their placements at South Whitley and Pierceton Elementary. I want to thank those teachers and administrators, especially those teachers that welcome our students into their classroom to kind of help and get an idea of what education might look like from the other side of it, from the teaching perspective of it, and allowing our students to learn from the people that are right here and give those in-field experiences to our students. We hope to continue that grow our own initiative and try to create all of our people coming back into Whitko and wanting to be teachers right here in our system as well. So those 2 programs we wanted to highlight tonight. Also, we are again partnering with the Whitley County Community Corrections Department and offering those night classes. We have 2 night classes going on now: precision machining and CNC, and then business, office, and computer training here in the first semester. We have Jade Hollenball and Sandy Benedict teaching those courses. Next semester, we will do a culinary and we will do a welding. So for those Whitley County Community Corrections people. We also, from the business side of it here a little bit, WCA is going to be completing our CLNA. That needs to be done every 2 years. It is a comprehensible local needs assessment to evaluate every one of our programs out here to make sure that we are following workforce guidelines, what's up and coming things that we need to be looking at in terms of what we're offering, and that kind of depends most of our funding for all of our CTE classes. So we work with Ben Carter from Inspire Success to help us with that process, and it will be due on March 1st. In 2026. So we'll go through that process. We have to do it every 2 years. And then finally, we will be completing our 30A report for all of our CTE funding. We got some checkpoints that we have to meet. October 1st as our initial, obviously count day, and then the 17th we have to have all of our classes loaded into the INTERS program or the INTERS database, so we can make sure we have our funding, and then we can make changes up until the 30th, and then our final submission needs to be on November 7th. So those are the 2 major things that we got to get accomplished this year at the Academy. Okay.
So this report that's every 2 years.
Yep.
That has community stakeholders in it.
community stakeholders will be having 2 meetings with our local leadership team, and then we'll have 2 meetings with our stakeholders that we will bring in. They will talk about the workforce data that is compiled and going over all the different programs that we have and evaluating them and taking a deep dive.
To make
into all
sure
of
that
those.
we're providing the workforce that the local people and local stakeholders need.
Correct.
And then it's
Absolutely.
also tied in with education to make sure that we're meeting the standards and all that,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes. Yep. So it's a deep dive into all of those programs. They take a look at those, and one of those I had to go to last week was presenting data, and one of the things says that with precision machining that field is declining. And I said, well, tell that to people in our area because it's not.
Right.
That's an area that is a high need area in our area, and that's what we just have to look at that particular situation. That's why we have the stakeholders that come in, because we want to hear from the people that are in our community what we need in our community. Maybe a statewide situation that a number may say something, but what does our community actually need? That's why we want those stakeholders in those meetings to kind of help us, guide us with the direction of where we're going with our programming. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Next, we have Kathy Longenbaugh from the Whitko High School. Oh, I'm sorry. JD, you're up. I marked you off already. And you're here with the junior high.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Some great news in junior high, but just to let the board know, when I give an update, I'm going to try to follow that up with what goes out to parents the Friday before. Every week, what'll go out to parents, students in the community is a weekly update from me, so we're all on the same page with communication, and what parents and students are getting from me will reflect in the board meeting. Few updates on logistics. We have lockers. We have our locker codes, and we started distributing lockers to 8th grade last week, and we're cleaning those up this week. Schenkel's going to be in on Friday and Saturday of this next week to clean up any of those lockers that need some additional care. So we're going to get those all cleaned up. 7th grade will be the rest of this week too, and then 6th grade will be the following week. So we will have that all cleaned up. Students will be in lockers before we break for fall break, and then when we come back, anybody that still needs a locker, we'll be sure to get them home. Academics, few updates. We're doing study tables on Monday after school with Mrs. Stump. All students are welcome in junior high to attend study tables, work on those math scores and those reading ELA scores. They're not punitive. These are something that we're calling parents home for and saying this is something that your student needs to attend. We're working with the students and the parents on that, completely separate from detention. We're still doing that. We'll host detentions on Thursdays, but study tables is for those academic needs. Advisory. Advisory, again, is a time for our students to build enrichment and character, and we're getting our Mondays filled with guest speakers that come in. Next month, we're going to tackle items that go with our culture building for responsibility. We'll tackle peer conflict. We'll tackle bullying and some of those things that seem to often come up in junior high about proper ways to use our cell phones outside of school, even though they can't have them inside of school. We'll work on that conduct with students, and we'll share that out to the community as well. A couple of great things, some joy in learning. I'd like to talk a little bit about a program called Caught Being Good, which I talked a little bit about with William when he was up here. So Caught Being Good is something that teachers get a ticket. Well, they got about 20 of them from me earlier in the year. And that is something that they'll hand to students when they see them with exemplary character. This is something that, for today, for example, I had a student come up to me and say, Mr. Maurer, did you get a lunch? And I looked at him, I said, well, why would you ask me that? And he says, you could see the upper left, the eyes going up in the upper left, and he's grabbing that prefrontal cortex, and he's trying to assess information. He comes back down, he says, well, if you don't eat, you'll pass out. And of course, I laughed. I said, well, I appreciate that. And it's that. So I took him with me immediately. I wrote him with one. I wrote him a Caught Being Good, and we took him for to get a treat for me. Something that's something, some kind of healthy snack if possible. But it's that's the kind of culture that we're trying to set in junior high, and that goes along with what our guidance counselor and our teachers are working on, which is a monthly character trait. You'll see posters all over junior high when you come down and visit. This last month for September, we had respect. And we talk about that in advisory. And we talk about what respect means for self, what respect means for your teachers, what respect means for your administrators, your parents. And next month in October, we're going to work on responsibility. So all of those things are reflective in what we do on a daily basis to build that culture in junior high, and we hope to see that reflection in our test scores as well. So any questions for me? All right, thank you. Yeah, you bet.
Okay, now we'll do Whitko Senior High. You gave me that look earlier, and I thought, oh no, I messed up your name or something. I'm always afraid I'm going to mispronounce a name. I just missed somebody totally instead.
Well, I just want to say what a joy it is to be back at Whitko High School. So many good memories walking around, and I remember this, and I look at this, and I hear this, and I see this, and so the last 6 weeks have really been a joy for me. One of the things that was really important to me is when I was a teacher at Whitko High School, Dave Parker started 3 goals of positive influence, high levels of achievement, and outstanding culture. And he brought that to Whitko, and I thought that was really important, and I bought into that as a teacher. And then when I left to become an administrator, I took that with me. And that was something that I stood on as an administrator for the last 11 years. And coming back to Whitko, those are my 3 goals. If you go to the high school handbook, those 3 goals are still in there, and that made my heart so happy. And so one of the things that I do is always try to run everything through those filters. Are we doing things that are positive? Are we doing things at high levels? And are we promoting outstanding culture at the high school? Because that's what's important. That's what makes students want to come to school and staff want to come to their job. So for the last 6 weeks, I've been walking around a ton and building relationships with students. It is great to see former students, now parents of my high school students, and seeing them. I did a meet the principal at the football game, so I had a lot of former students and people stopping by to see me. We've held cookouts in Mr. Malicki's classroom just like we did all of those years ago, and I know they're doing that, but just eating together as a group and sitting outside in the new beautiful courtyard, it was just amazing. And again, that is building culture. One of the other things that's really important to me is communication. And so we were looking at what are some better ways that we can communicate, especially with our students. And so I met with Timmy Fox, and one of the things that they're doing is the Whitko Wire, but that gets pushed out on a daily basis to our students, so they know what's going on every single day. And then those are also run on all of the TVs in the high school, so if the kids are at lunch, they can read what's going on. If they're in the hallway or they're waiting in the morning, they can read the TVs. And so it's just an extra way to communicate with the kids instead of coming over the PA and interrupting class time to say what's going on when they're ready to leave and they're really not listening then either. Another exciting thing is Johnston's has been here. They met with the freshmen and they talked about class rings and how important your high school journey is. And then they came back the next day and they met with our seniors and they talked about graduation. We have set graduation for Friday, May 29th, the last teacher day. And so we are looking at a new gown for this year. It is a purchasable gown. So I have been working with Johnston's on some of the things leading up to class rings and graduation. We held a blood drive. This week is College Go Week. So teachers and staff have given information about when they were at high school, in college, and Mrs. Stetler is reading some hints over the announcements, and kids are coming down to play trivia, and there's dress up days this week. But what's most important is for our seniors is there are numerous colleges and universities who are foregoing the cost of the application fee, and so that they can apply to certain colleges this week for free. Professional development is coming up Friday, September 26th, so we're gearing up for that. One of the things that Dr. Carroll did talk about was the PSAT. My eventual goal, because I did see what our scores were. So the PSAT is normally given to sophomores at the beginning of their sophomore year, and then a junior at the end of their junior year is when they take the SAT. So you have that gap from the beginning of sophomore year to the end of junior year. So there is the ability to test 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, and 11th graders. So this year we are testing 10 and 11. So our 11th graders will get the test now in October, and then they will see the SAT in March. So we're testing 10 and 11, and then next year we are going to test 9, 10, and 11. Because one of the things that I believe is the more times that you have exposure to the test, the testing platform, the rigor of testing several hours at a time, what that all means, the more familiar you are with it, the more comfortable you become with it, and then the more successful you are with it. Along with testing with a teacher that you're familiar with, we are going to look at the data, because the data from the PSAT, so the data from 9th grade, when we do it next year, 10th and 11th grade, shows us areas that individual students can improve, and you can actually get on Khan Academy and practice with that. And so we will be building Khan Academy activities into math and English courses. At my last building, we did see that when we added Khan Academy on a weekly basis to math and English, that our scores did rise. So first we need to see where our scores come in. We'll look at that data, and then we can start implementing that for our juniors before they take the test in March. So one other thing that so on our professional development day, we're getting all of our teachers ready to be able to give the PSAT, what that looks like, all of the training that goes with that. And another thing that we're doing is, when I started the school year with the teachers, I wanted them to have 3 goals. I wanted them to think about how they can grow in 3 different areas. And one is with curriculum. How can you grow? How can you advance your curriculum? What are you going to add to it? Because I know as a teacher of 18 years, you kind of get comfortable, you get in a routine of this is what I do here. So they actually have a curricular goal. How are you going to add to improve your curriculum? Another one was a professional goal. What are you going to do for yourself to grow you as a teacher? Are you going to read articles? Are you going to listen to a TED Talk? Do you follow anybody on Twitter? I know one of the things, my daughter, my son-in-law, and my other son-in-law are all teachers. And so I look at a lot of things or read a lot of things, and I'm constantly sending to my own kids and son-in-laws. And so that's one of the things that I think is very important, is that we always continue to grow, that you have a growth mindset as an educator. And then the last one is student focused. What are you doing for your students? How are you helping them grow in your classroom? What is your goal for them related to missing work, quizzes, test scores, and how are you creating that community within your classroom in order to do that? So that's something else we'll be working on the professional day. We've been working hard to clean up our attendance and everything related to Count Day. So Count Day is coming October 1st, and obviously we know that has a lot to do with funding. So we have been working very hard with the tech department to look at all of our kids who are missing or who have not shown up to school. And I will tell you, we are down, I think, less than 5 that we have any concerns with. So that's what we're doing at the high school. I'm excited about the places that we're going to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Next, we have Barry Singray with the Athletic Department.
Good evening. At our last board meeting, fall sports were just starting to take off and everybody was getting started. And at this time, we actually have girls golf. They've already completed their season, so it goes really fast. And we have several others preparing for TRC and postseason play. Couple other things I want to mention that are coming up. Volleyball senior night will be October 2nd. Homecoming will be October 3rd at the varsity football game. And I think Joel had mentioned the reading initiative that South Whitley's doing. They're trying to partner in with that homecoming night, so hoping to have a great crowd with that. Also, football, cross country, and marching band senior night will be October 17th before the start of the game. A few other items, as we're going through the fall, we're always preparing for the following season. So right now, working to provide coaches with academic progress reports ahead of the midterm to try to curb any issues with students being eligible. And then also just preparing for the winter season ahead, getting through all our schedules, all our transportation, all our contracts, and all our big events. So looking forward to it, but it's definitely a lot of prep, so making sure we're ready for it. Because winter's probably one of our longest, but also busiest just with the number of events we host. So feeder program updates, another, I would say, successful fall. We've hosted youth cheer, volleyball, and youth football for K through 6 students again this fall. We've had over 80 participants in youth football, 33 in youth volleyball, and 35 in youth cheer. Youth cheer performed at our first football game, did a little halftime show for us. All our youth football players were recognized at our last home varsity game, and youth volleyball will also get recognized on October 7th at the varsity volleyball match. So really enjoy having all those students be able to come in and get recognized or perform at our events. Facility, no real updates for facilities. Right now, our scoreboard is still on pace to begin the install process on October 20th. So keeping the fingers crossed, we really want to have that up and running by the start of winter sports. And then lastly, just want to thank our varsity coaches, as I mentioned, with the youth leagues and all the different programs they're doing. I just really want to thank them and their programs for all the extra time and effort that they put into running those. From my perspective, I know how much organizing and extra communication and work that can be. And then also from a parent perspective, to see my girls go into volleyball on Saturday and get to see the players and coaches, or my son's at his football game and the varsity coach shows up and talks to the team. Takes a lot of extra effort, but it means a lot, not just to me as the AD, but also as a parent. So wanted to thank them. That's all I have.
I love seeing the boys in the shoulder pads, and I think that really excites them to be ready to think that they're actually going to tackle,
Yep.
not just pull a string out of somebody's pocket.
Yeah, I think it's a good move forward for us.
Definitely.
It's kind of been established. We have a lot of kids wanting to play, and now they're sort of ready for that next step. So,
They are.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sierra Arnett with the Whitko Little Cats.
So we have our infant toddler playground out back. We used to have it as our playground for all of our kids till we got our new playground, but all of our play equipment's out there now. We are going to begin Haggerty this week in our preschool rooms, so that'll be starting to be introduced till we can fully start implementing that. We're now LLEP licensed. And then right inside our entrance of our doors, when parents walk in, we now have folders up where you can see what each classroom is working on for the week. So you can just look at like the overview for parents. They can see what words they're introducing, different activities that they're doing in the classrooms. We still have openings in our preschool rooms for ages 3 to 5. We're working to fill that. And then we're looking to change our name soon. We are not going to be Wella. It will be Whitko Little Cats because a lot of surrounding schools use that Wella, and so we'll stand out a little more. Any questions?
Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Carroll with curriculum.
All right, so I just want to share with you that I talked a little bit earlier about our curriculum mapping and the work we had done so far. So we had our first round this summer. This week, we met with second and third grade for our second round of curriculum mapping. We did a half day, so we spent a half day with second grade, a half day with third grade, continuing to build those maps out for the school year. This week, we're meeting with kindergarten and fifth one day, and then next week with first and fourth. So we have those curriculum map building days already planned. I wanted to share with you that the 3 building coaches, as of right now, we have signed them up for the Diane Sweeney Coaching Institute. So they will be attending 8 sessions. They're virtual sessions. So they will attend the sessions, and then I meet with the coaches weekly on Mondays, and we do like a debrief of what they learned and how we can apply it currently to what we're doing in our buildings. So I'm really excited about that. Diane Sweeney is kind of the guru of student-based coaching. She focuses on asset-based coaching, which is very important. So we focus on what data is in front of us, what can our students currently do, and how can we build on what they already can do, versus always looking for the holes in what they can't do. So it's asset-based. So we're working on that. And then I'm really excited about the PD Day this coming Friday. I have worked with all the building administrators, and we have PD planned out for the elementaries. We have several things planned out. I mean, the list goes on and on if you were to see the agenda. And they have several things planned at the junior, senior high, and then Mr. Benedict and Mrs. Benedict have some great things planned here at the WCA. So I'm really excited about that. The main thing that all staff will be getting on Friday, in addition to individualized building plans, is that we are moving to pivot evaluation systems. So we, Mr. Buchanan and I have worked with the Pivot company to get the administrative side of Pivot and the evaluation systems for teachers set up. This, on the 24th, which is Wednesday, I believe, we have an administrative training. So anyone who will be evaluating teachers will sit in a virtual session with Pivot we have set up. And then on Friday, we will be training all teachers as to what that system looks like for them. So then the evaluator or the administrators can start their evaluation process, go in and do their observations, and start evaluating teachers with a brand new system this year that's also being implemented here at Whitko. So that's my update.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
And next, we have Matt Buchanan with technology.
Hello, everybody. We've wrapped up the phone project, so it's really good to have new phones everywhere and everything functioning properly. Each day there is a number of productivity improvements or workflow improvements, efficiency gains that are available to grab, but just getting the time to put all that together. So I've been amassing a large list with cost reductions as a part of that, because I know technology is a big part of the budget. So in addition, really the goal, the home run hit would be to, provide a technology that has not been offered before that really makes a big difference in the classroom or cybersecurity and costs less, right? So that's what we're really pushing for, something like that all the time. CrowdStrike is an example of that, where we've upgraded to the state, and the state is paying for that right now, which, at least I think it starts in October, that starts. So that transition is complete. And we've also moved up from where we were at before with the CrowdStrike package up to the Elite package, and that is they monitor it and they take action as opposed to me taking action. So if something happens at 1 o'clock in the morning, they're acting on it, which I sleep better that way. So it's a big bang there. Student rostering has gone really well. There's been a lot of work done with that, and we've got a lot of lessons learned with that for next year, so that's going to be running smoother. Also, a number of opportunities to document procedures and how things happen in what particular order. So we've made a lot of progress there too. Our relationship with Winona IT is changing right now. At the end of this month, the previous arrangement will be ending and the new arrangement will be beginning. And in that one, we have more of the responsibility, more of the accountability of that, which is good. And they're moving into more of a support role, more at a systems level, more at a network level, because they redid the entire network, and there's just parts of it they know that I don't know yet, so I need them as a resource. Any questions?
So,
Okay, thanks.
thank you. That concludes our reports for tonight. 4.0 donation and grant update. Dr. Corse, do you have anything?
There are none at this time.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recess our regular meeting to convene a public hearing. May I get a motion to do this, to perform a recess?
I move that we recess to have the public hearing.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of convening a public hearing and having a short recess, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, we are in recession now, and we will now call to order a public hearing. This is a school board public hearing to receive public comments on the district's capital projects plan, bus replacement plan, and the 2026 budget. Notice of this public hearing and an overview of these documents were published on the Whitko Community Schools website in Gateway, Indiana on September 12th. This public hearing is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the regular meeting agenda with item number 5. The board receives agenda item information and rationale for administrative recommendations for their thorough review before each meeting. We have a presentation. Whitko Business Manager Lynn Loninger will present the capital projects and bus replacement plans and the 2026 budget now.
Good evening. This is the public hearing for the 2026 Whitko budget. I have given the board members several binders in front of you. I'm going to go through these various forms. Try to sync this up with the presentation so that the public can see what we're talking about as well. This is kind of the index of the items we're going to go over. And in your binders, you'll have those same numbered tabs as I talk about each different topic. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about the public hearing that's being held today. We're talking about 26 budgets, tax levies, and tax rates. It's required by law that we hold a public hearing, and then next month we will adopt the same 2026 budget, tax levies, and rates by the school board. They will approve them at the October 20th board meeting. The public hearing is to review revenues and expenses over 18 months. The budget, tax levies, and tax rates are approved and adopted for year 2026. So the point here is that we are looking at next year's budgets and tax rates, but we have to take an 18-month look at this because we start with July 1 as our starting point for the budget. We have to look at all the revenues and expenditures estimated for the last half of this year, plus all the expenses for next year. Once the budget's been adopted by the school board, the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance then comes in and reviews and finalizes the budget, and we usually get our final budget order sometime in December. So this next one's more of a question. What Whitko school funds are required for review of approval and adoption? We have over 85 funds that we manage through our school corporation. A lot of those are state grants, federal grants, local grants, donations, our lunch accounts. But why do these 4 funds that we have to review today, why are they required by the state to look over and review? And the first part is any funds that receive state basic grant funding, like the education fund, has to be reviewed and approved for the budget, even though there's no tax rate on that fund. And then any property tax supported funds, such as the operation fund, debt service fund, and the rainy day fund, are all required to be reviewed and approved by the school board. On tab 3 on your binder, I listed the 4 funds that we're going to talk about today. I tried to give you a little bit of information of how those funds are spent and the revenue that comes into those funds. So starting with the education fund, any kind of expenditures in the classroom or instruction are going to be found in the education appropriations. So that's the teacher salaries, the assistants in the classrooms, supplies, any kind of professional development for the staff in those classrooms will all be paid out of education fund. The main revenue funding source that comes into the education fund is the state basic grant. Every year the legislature passes how much they're going to appropriate for public school funding. And that's then divvied out between all the school corporations based on their ADM for that year. That's the primary determination of how those funds are received by each school corporation. We receive in the education fund, the main revenue of state basic grant is 97% of the total funding coming into the education fund. And I note there that the restriction is placed on the funding just based on our student enrollment. So as our enrollment goes up, we can see more of an increase in funding. And we're competing with all other schools in the corporation, in the state. The operation fund is everything more on an operation level outside of the classroom. It's the transportation, it's the bus replacements, it's repairing the buses, it's the gas, it's all the utilities that we have to pay throughout the corporation, it's the capital projects for equipment, and it's the repairs for equipment that we currently have. It's the central office salaries. All this comes out of the operation fund. In the past, there used to be 3 different funds that made up the operation fund. There was a separate transportation fund, there's a separate bus replacement fund, and there's a separate capital project fund. All those funds had tax rates associated with them, and then in 2019, the state combined all those into the operation fund. So now we're just down to the operation and the education fund as our primary accounts. Property taxes make up over 78% of our funding for the operation fund. So this does have a property tax component to it. The restrictions that could be placed on this is the operation maximum levy. Each school corporation has the total operation maximum they can raise in property taxes for that district. So we can raise only the funds that were permitted by that calculation. The debt service fund is all the debt service payments. So when we have our lease rental and our GO bonds, all the payments that we have for 2026 will fall under the debt service fund, and we'll be able to raise property taxes to cover all of those payments. This is a need-driven fund, meaning that we can only raise taxes to cover our payments. We can't raise an exorbitant amount above that total. They monitor that very closely. They look at all of our costs for 2026, all of our costs for the end of 2025, and what we'll need for the first half of 27, and place appropriate tax levy to cover all of those payments. The rainy day fund is for emergencies only. This was created, I went back in the books and looked, from 2008 to 2019, there was the ability, there still is the ability, to move up to 10% of your budgets of any of your funds into the rainy day fund, more like a savings account, but also for emergency situations. So in 2019 was the last transfer into that fund, and that made that balance $1 million, and it's stayed at $1 million ever since then. We hold it there in case, like, if we would have a delay in state funding, or way back when they actually skipped 1 month back in the early 2000s, we have to still make our payments for payroll and everything else. So that stays there only in emergency situations. If you would spend that down, then you would basically have no buffer for any kind of situations like that. So at this point in time, there's no thought of any future transfers or expenditures out of that account. But because the property tax dollars are raised in the various funds, that were then moved over to rainy day fund, we have to review and get this budget approved every year. The next section is the Whitko Community School enrollment and state support. I've talked about this several times at various meetings. Just reiterating the fact that since 2018-19 up until the current year, we've experienced a declining enrollment in our school. As you go down through there, you look to the right, you'll see that our total tuition support has been increasing up through 23-24, even in a declining enrollment school. And that there goes to how much the state has been putting to public schools, even though we've been experiencing declining enrollment, the amount of extra funding that they've been putting into the state budget has been making up for our total tuition support going up. That was until the current last year, 24-25, where we actually seen almost a $500,000 reduction in our tuition support. Matt was talking about working on numbers for this fall count and October 1 counts. That's the number I've kind of heard mentioned. That's just an estimate at this point. But it looks like we're going to be at 1,088, and with a new funding formula from the state, even though we've declined in enrollment, we'll see almost $400,000 more of state support money. So it'll be a little bit of a bounce back this year. Under the $25,000 Operation Maximum Levy, I was talking above that we are restricted by how much we can raise in tax dollars for the Operation Fund. The state came out earlier this year that we could increase that total by 4%. So if you look at the 26 Operation Maximum Levy, our levy is $4,024,944. However, due to Senate Bill Enrollment Act of the property tax cap, a lot of homeowners will be seeing credits on their tax bills. So we'll be taxing and saying we're going to tax at $4 million, but we will see almost $422,000 reduction off of that collection and taxes. Part of that is homeowners, but also part of it is there's a limit of how much you can earn on personal property for businesses before it's taxed. So businesses will probably play that game to try to keep them underneath that total so they can avoid taxes on their personal property. That is an estimate. That's a guess, I guess, from the state of what they're looking at. But what we would be looking at is we're going to raise $4,024,000, but only see realized revenue of $3,602,000, which is almost $200,000 less than what we got this current year for 25. Tab number 3 is just going over the current year financial worksheet. It's a worksheet we have to complete. It just, in a nutshell, tells you by fund how much cash balance you anticipate to have at the end of the year and what your property taxes, if any, are going to come in the last half of the year. It takes a look at your revenue and expenditures and tells you, as of December, this is what you should have as cash based on your current budget and where you're spending at. And I'll get more into that when we talk about the worksheet later on here. But the education fund, the operation fund, debt service, and rainy day fund. Okay, in tab number 4, that's the notice to the taxpayers of our budget for 2026. As Scott said, we published this on the 12th of September. We posted it to Gateway, which is a part of the Department of Local Government Finance website. But at the top there, I highlighted that any taxpayer that wants to see this actually posted out there, there's a web link that they can go to, or they can actually even call the 800 number, 888 number, to find that. But this form here, this notice to taxpayers, also has been published on the website for Whitko. It's underneath the school board information, and it's public documents for review. So the Form 3 is also out there for people to see. It highlights the public hearing date of September 22nd, the adoption date of October 20th, which is next month's board meeting. It shows there again how much we're going to get in the operation maximum levy, and this is where they're telling us what our property tax cap credit is going to be, a $422,000 reduction from that $4 million levy. Down below then there's columns there. That's our budget estimate, and I'll give you a little detail about that when we get to these other tabs. But we have $500,000 estimated for our budget out of rainy day. We just budget that, but we don't spend it. We always put in the appropriations just in case we would need it. Debt service fund, $4,021 or $21,125 for debt service, and that's all of our debt payments. Education fund, the budget is $11,500,000. Operation fund, it's $5,972,500 of budget appropriations for 2026. Column 3 there tells us what we're advertising and will probably be adopting for tax levies. $4 million for debt service and $4,100,000 for operations. And I'll restate this later on as well. We have to advertise and adopt higher, because once the state comes in, if you inadvertently advertise or adopt too low, they can't raise it above. So common practice is you always advertise or adopt a little higher than what it's actually going to be. Okay. We won't see that. Additionally to this, in front of you, I guess you have the school bus replacement plan. Is there something I did to that, Justin? Anyway, the school bus replacement plan, we're proposing to replace 2 buses next year. Each of those buses cost $202,210 for a total appropriation of $404,420 for those 2 buses. Just want to make a comment on this. We've been running behind ever since COVID happened. We still haven't gotten our 2025 allocation of 2 buses, or the 2024 allocation of buses have not been delivered as of yet. I was talking to Rhonda, and it sounds like we'll be getting the 2 buses for 2024 sometime this next month or so. But that's over $600,000 of buses out there that we haven't got delivered, plus the $400,000 here. We're saying that's almost $1 million of buses that are hanging out there. So, yes, yeah. So we leave the appropriations in place, but it's kind of always a reverse thing where you can't keep adding all this stuff on. But yes, we can. The bus replacement plan, as well as the capital projects plan, are held over from when we had those 2 separate funds. We still had to advertise and adopt those, but those are all contained in part of the operations fund. So the appropriation of $400,000 is part of our budget for 2026. And then we would carry the encumbrance or the appropriations over from the previous years until they're satisfied. So. And the capital projects plan is the same thing. We don't have a capital projects plan per se, but it's part of the appropriations that we have in the operations fund. This next tab, which is tab 6 on your stuff, is a breakdown of all the budget lines for those 4 funds in detail. And what those are is we go into our financial software and we can see the last 2 years for every one of those lines, how much we spent versus our appropriations. We can add variables in place if there's something that's going to happen with higher expenses or less expenses for next year. And we estimate our budget for 2026 off of that analysis. Kind of like with Winona IT, we've been paying a contract with them, and that's going away, so you won't see that for next year's appropriation to the extent that we had it from before. We look at all the salaries for like the high school, the elementaries, the special programs. We tried to estimate and build in the salaries that we anticipate for next year for 2026. The benefits are all there. The totals, I highlighted them. It's kind of hard to see probably on the overhead, but we had $500,000 that we appropriate for rainy day, just in case again. We have the $4,521,125 for debt service, and there again, that's for detailed by the GO bond payments along with the lease rental payments. And then there's like a page and a half, 2 pages maybe, of the education fund broke out for the grand total of $11,500,000. And then we also look at the next few pages for operations, and that total comes to the $5,972,000 for a total of $3,625. On page or tab 7 for you guys is the Form 2 miscellaneous revenue sheet that we have to prepare. This is all revenue other than property taxes. So anything that's coming to any of our funds other than the property tax that we set is showing up under miscellaneous revenue. I've highlighted a couple things in there. With the state tuition support under education, we currently transfer $92,500 of education money over to the transportation monthly. That figures out to $1,110,000 for the year. That's a 10% transfer, almost 11%. We're allowed and permitted to transfer up to 15%, but we are going to remain and leave it where it currently is. It keeps the operating balances pretty much constant over the last 3 or 4 years. Around $3,500,000 in education and around $3 million in the operations fund. If we go to page 8, that's the debt worksheet. That's just gone again. That's the detail of the 2026 budget. It tells you by each one of the debts that we currently have what our payments are for next year. I highlighted the middle column, which is line 16, which is the amount of our debt payments for 2026. And it shows there the 21 GO bond, the 22 lease rental was a refinance of the elementary projects. We're still paying on that. That's the largest of all of our debt payments. And then we have the others listed along with, at the bottom there, we have the anticipated debt service payment for this roofing project that we're looking to approve. So when we go to tab 9, that's the actual worksheet calculation that comes up with the budget that you guys as the school board will approve, the property tax levy if there's any levy to that fund, and the tax rate. Under the first fund, the rainy day fund, we have I just highlighted a couple things there. We show the $1 million cash balance as of June 30th. We budget $500,000 per year, so if we actually spent all that, it would be $0. We just, I just wanted to point out that on this worksheet, just because you have the appropriation doesn't mean you're actually spending it, and that's where we save a little bit of money on the operation and education fund. We probably spend anywhere from 85 to 90% of our budget every year, so we don't spend every single dollar of our appropriations. And that helps out with the bottom line cash balance. But as far as the rainy day, we continue to appropriate $500,000 per year if needed. And then if you turn back to the education fund, wanted to point out there, July to December in the top portion of that form, it shows our estimated cash balance of $2,462,000. It shows on the bottom half everything coming in 26 for miscellaneous revenues and our basic grant support. And it shows our budget estimate of $11,500,000. At the bottom, there's an assessed value, but there's no tax rate because there is no tax rate for the education fund. The operations fund, same thing there, we're just running through it, July to December. We have a cash balance estimated of $1,859,000. We look at next year's budget of $5,972,000. And we have the advertised property tax levy of $4,100,000, plus the cap, it's a subtraction on that calculation, of $422,000. And at the very bottom of the sheet there, you'll see we're using an assessed value of $745 million for calculating tax rates. That was just a little bit higher than last year's assessed value. The actual assessed value looks like it's going to be about $792 million for 2026. We're waiting on numbers finalized from Kosciuszko, but that's what we got right now. And if you turn over to the next page, it gives you the tax rate of 55 cents for that fund. 55.03 is our tax rate. There again, when we get done here, I'll tell you exactly where I think it's going to end up being. We just used a low assessed value so that it inflates the tax rate to adopt, and then we will work it to what we're really going to be at when we're done with the state. The last fund, or the next fund, is the debt service fund. And like I said, this is just a need-driven fund. They're looking at what our payments are for the last half of this year, all of next year, and the first part of 2027. And they're showing an operating balance of $1,439,000 in that fund at the end of next year. In actuality, there is laws and requirements in place that number can only be like 1.3 million. So that's overstated as well, but it'll be reduced to the actual need of that fund. And with using the higher assessed value or lower assessed value, the tax rate shows at 53.69 for that fund. So then moving on to tab 10, this is the ordinance resolution that's adopted or needs to be approved and adopted at the school board meeting in October. And this is all coming off of those worksheets we just showed you. Our total budget of $21,993,625, adopted tax rates of $8,100,000 with an adopted tax rate of $1.0872. What I can tell you on that with the new assessed value in place and with the restraints by the maximum levy and the debt service, our tax rate should be somewhere between 97 and 99 cents when everything's finalized on this. And last year's tax rate was 97.67. I will have better numbers for assessed values, and I can relay it to the board before our next board meeting, but I can definitely tell you what that tax rate's going to look like before we sign any of these forms in October. The resolution to adopt the bus replacement plan is also a form that has to be signed at the October board meeting, and the capital projects plan. Is there any questions or comments you guys have me to answer? It's a lot of guesswork, unfortunately, until you get better numbers, but we have to make sure we advertise and adopt so we can get to our bottom line number at the end. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments. The board members will now hear public comments on the capitals project, bus replacement, and 2026 budget. Written comments also will be taken into consideration prior to final adoption of the plans and budget of the October 20th meeting. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I guess I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Adjourn.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. We will proceed to vote. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned with the public hearing. Now I'd like to have a motion to reconvene the regular meeting.
I move that we, sorry.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, we will now proceed to vote. All those in favor of reconvening the regular meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are now back to 5.0 on the agenda, which is public comments. We have no sign-ups that I'm aware of for public comments regarding agenda items tonight. So we will move down to 6.0, which is business reports and consent agenda. So 6.1 is the August 13th work session, August 18th regular meeting minutes. 6.2 is the accounts payable and receivable, including payroll claims for August 29th and September 9th, claims for September 17th, void checks, and monthly transfers. 6.3 financial reports include the revenue report, the appropriation report, the fund report, and the financial report. And then we have extracurricular, including Pierceton, South Whitley Elementary, and Whitko Junior Senior High extracurriculars. There's also a list of personnel on 6.5. At this time, I'd like to get a motion to approve everything that's listed on 6.0.
I move we,
I move that we approve the business reports and consent agenda as presented in 6.0.
I second it.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. In new business, we have approval of the school bus driver contracts. May I have a motion to approve 7.1?
I move that we approve the school bus driver contracts.
I second it.
It has been properly moved and seconded. We will, is there any discussion? Okay, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. 7.2 is the approval of increasing the after-school shuttle daily pay to $50 per trip. May I have a motion to approve 7.2?
I move we approve the increasing of the after-school shuttle daily pay to $50 per trip.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. 7.3 is the approval of the 2026 graduation date on Friday, May 29th at 6:30 p.m. May I have a motion to approve 7.3?
I move that we approve the 2026 graduation date of Friday, May 29 at 6:30.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Motion passes. 7.4 is the approval of the resolution authorization execution of the amendment lease. So, Lynn, before we make a motion, would you mind summarizing the resolution authorization?
Okay, as required by Indiana Code 20-47-3, after a lease hearing, the school board must approve the lease agreement and authorize the school board officers to execute such lease. This lease is the agreement whereby the school corporation will levy the required property taxes to pay the lease payments throughout the life of the bond issue. The lease payments will be paid to the building corporation and used to pay the bondholders to repay the proceeds of the bonds.
Thank you. Could I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution authorizing execution of lease?
I move that we approve the resolution authorizing execution of the amendment lease.
I second it.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We'll now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? 7.4 carries. 7.5 is the approval of a resolution assigning construction bids and contracts. Lynn, would you please summarize the resolution assigning bids and contracts?
Yes, the next resolution is a resolution assigning bids, contracts to the building corporation. At the bond closing, the building corporation will own facilities where some of the renovation work will be completed. The building corporation will also be the issuer of the bonds. As a result, certain contracts may need to be with the building corporation because the building corporation will hold the money to pay the contractors. The school corporation receives the bids and/or contracts and awards the bids and/or contracts under state laws, but then retain the right to assign those bids and/or contracts to the building corporation for payment at the discretion of the board.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to adopt a resolution assigning bids and contracts?
I move we approve the resolution assigning construction bids and contracts.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. Aye. Oppose? Okay, motion passes. 7.6 is the approval of resolution approving the fourth supplement to master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds. Lynn, would you please summarize the resolution authorizing the fourth supplement to master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds?
Yes, this resolution satisfies the Securities and Exchange Commission requirement that a school corporation enters into a continuing disclosure undertaking agreement if it issues bonds to public investors. The agreement requires the school corporation agree to timely provide certain financial information and provide notices of certain material events if and when they occur.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the fourth supplement to master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds?
I move that we approve the resolution for the fourth supplement to the master continuing disclosure undertaking and issuance of bonds.
I second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We will now proceed to vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion carries. That is the end of the bond-related resolutions. Now we move on to 7.7, which is the approval of field trips. May I have a motion to approve 7.7 field trips?
I move that we approve field trips as presented.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion carries. 8.0 is old business. There is no old business at this time. And then we have miscellaneous administrative items. Dr. Kors.
I do have a few things. Tomorrow we have a crew coming to re-roof the log cabin at the high school, which is spearheaded by Rick Bollinger. And if you are a former Whitko Wildcat, you know that the log cabin is a legend, and we're proud of it, and we like to take care of it. So thank you in advance to the volunteers who are putting in their time tomorrow, taking a day off. We have right now around 15 signed up individuals coming. They're going to rip off the roof, repair it, replace it, and trim up the trees. They've cleaned the sidewalk. They're just trying to make it ready so that next year we will have the 50th anniversary, and they want to have a big celebration. So that's great. I remember having class out there as a high schooler just not that long ago. So I went with Georgia to the and Dr. Carroll to the School Board Association and the Superintendent's Association conference last week. There was lots of good information in regards to running a district, and it was nice to spend time with these two ladies, and Indianapolis treated us well. So it was a great few days spent together. So I appreciate both of you going with me. So Columbia City and Cherubusco have been coming to the academy for our CTE classes, and it is so nice to see their buses and their transportation pull up, especially on Fridays when their students wear their football jerseys and their cheerleading shirts. And it's great to see the three schools kind of razz each other about football and fist bump, and it's just been nice to see all these children come together. So Mr. Benedict and I met with the other superintendents, and the word on the street is that it's going well, and it's nice to have some new kids in our school and to send our kids out as well, so that's going well. We do not have any donations tonight. However, I've spent a significant amount of time this month writing grants. Construction Trades, as Mr. Benedict said, is building a tiny house to auction off in the spring. So I wrote a grant for the Community Foundation to offset those costs. The advanced ag students are planting an orchard here at the academy, and so we are working on a grant with DNR, so that's really exciting. Our administrators have done a great job hitting the ground running. We have several new, taking on new spots, and it's so nice just having a full team of high flyers, and it just makes my job so much easier, and it makes dreaming and thinking about what we can do as a district so much fun. I want to thank Dr. Carroll for her data presentation tonight and all her effort that went into it. Someone mentioned to her that it should be 5 minutes, and I laughed. I said, Dr. Carroll never gives a 5-minute presentation, so that's not going to happen. And she did a great job, and I appreciate the wealth of information and the growth that we've had in this district in such a short time. Fall sports are well underway. It was great to see the band perform at Carroll this weekend. They did a fantastic job. The amount of parents that came and showed up and helped them get on the field is amazing. So thank you to the parents to do that. Thank you, Lynn, for your fantastic budget. Not only did you spend tons of time making the budget, but presenting it in a very clear. School finance is not easy, so every day I learn a little bit more from Lynn, so I appreciate that. And another thank you to my administrative assistant, Teresa Carano, who prepared all these documents and scripts, and there was a lot to tonight's meeting, so thank you to her for being the taskmaster and telling us what we can and can't do and what's legal and what is not, so thank you to that. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right, thank you. We have public comments on non-agenda items. I don't have anyone signed in. Is there anyone that wants to speak? Okay, 11.0 is miscellaneous school board items. The next regular meeting is Monday, October 20th in the Academy Lecture Room at 5:30 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I move the way adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
No. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.